Hi, it's Diane. I've come to tell you a new story today. Today I'd like to share with you the story of Tamar and Judah. This is a story that appears right in the middle of this Genesis story about Joseph with his technicolor dream coat, his tunic with the long sleeves, and the sibling rivalry that was going on. When suddenly, after he sold to the caravan and sent off to Egypt, it switches to Judah. And it says at the same time that he's being delivered to Potiphar in Egypt and sold as a slave, that Judah goes down and finds a wife, falls madly in love with this beautiful Canaanite girl, and he marries her. And first she has a son, and his name is and then he has another son, and his name is Odin, and then another son, and his name's like Selah. Not like the praise thing. But anyway, so here's the story. Judah has this wonderful marriage, and she's a Canaanite. Now, they weren't supposed to marry Canaanites because, they were not of the tribe of Israel, and they were pagans, basically. But he marries her, and then he has the son who's the oldest one, and then gets old enough to get married. So Judah takes off over there, and he finds him a beautiful Canaanite woman also. Must have made great wives. But because Judah goes, and he gets this woman, this young girl, her name is Tamar. Now, we know that back then, soon as a woman started having her period, that she could have babies, then she got married. So Tamar was probably only about 13, 14 years old. Well, Judah picks her for and they have a big wedding, and those feasts were crazy great. Big deal. Drops dead. It says, before he could go into her, and when the Bible says that somebody's going into someone, they mean they're going into them. So, before he can go and claim his bride prize, his beautiful Canaanite bride, Tamar, God slews him. Now, I don't know what kind of bad dude this boy was, but apparently he was a very bad dude, that God would slew him immediately. And so Judah goes, whoa, well, wait a minute now. He's my oldest son. He's dead. So the duty falls to you, Odin. You got to go in there, and you got to make her pregnant, because needs an heir. That's right. Even if you were dead, your brother or next of kin could go in and do the duty for you and produce a son for you. Well, Odin goes like, oh, wait a minute, Dad. Okay, I got to do it because my dad, Judah, says I have to, but I don't want to. And you know what? I'm not going to get her pregnant, because any child she has is not really going to be mine. I'm not going to get the inheritance because of it. In fact, I'm going to go get her pregnant. She's going to have the son of and then he's going to get all of the money, all of the sheep, and all of the inheritance. So Odin decides that what he's going to do is he is not going to release his seed inside of her. I'm trying to figure out how to say this without it being too graphic. He's not going to release his seed inside of her, but instead he's going to withdraw, and he spills his seed on the ground, quote unquote. That's what the Bible says. I'm not making that up. That's exactly what it says. And that's exactly what it means. He goes in and has sex with her a bunch of times, but every time he spills his seed out on the ground, and God got really mad about this. So guess what? God slew him too. Yeah, he died. Well, here's two dead husbands, and Judah only has one more boy. And so he doesn't want Selah to die, because he's afraid that he's got himself a black widow here for his sons, and that if he goes, that he'll die too. So maybe he thought that it was some sort of payback for selling his brother off and wanting to leave him for dead. But I don't know. That's just a thought. But anyway, so here's how the story goes. So the last one was Selah. And Judah tells Tamar, look, you got to go back to your daddy's house. I don't want you here because you might be bad luck, and I'm sending you back over to your daddy. And you're going to have to live with your daddy until Salah here gets old enough to get married. And when he's old enough, then I'm going to marry him to you, and then he'll get you pregnant, and you'll still have the firstborn of the firstborn. So he sends her home, and according to the story, that Judah's wife, the mother of these boys, she ages out, she dies. And Judah's, oh, God, she's dead. And so he's really, really, heartbroken. Because apparently he really, really loved her. Well, Tamar gets wind of it through the servants, because you know how people talk. And they go, and somebody tells her, say, hey, Tamar, guess what? Judah's wife died. And now he's alone. And that boy that he promised you, well, he's grown up, and he ain't sending him over here to you. Well, this made Tamar very desperate, because a woman without a husband in a clan like that, with power, as I told you before, she was free reign. They could be taken by anyone. She could be raped. She could be sold as a slave. She could just be taken as a sex slave. She could be trafficked off to anybody wanted to, because she didn't have a man to protect her. She didn't have a clan or a Beitab to protect her and to keep her safe. She was with her old daddy in her widow clothes still, and it's been a couple of years. Well, she has this idea that I got to do something, and I got to do something to save myself now. But this idea came into her head. And I just like to say that a lot of those great ideas that you get in your head are often God. He's pushing you and telling you a way out of your situation. And her way out seemed a little unlikely, but here's what happened. Judah and his buddy were taking the sheep to market, and someone had told her he's going to be herding those sheep over there to town where they're going to shear them and sell the wool. And she has this idea then, wait a minute, I'm going to fix old Judah. I am going to play him. He has played me. He has put me over here with my daddy. He's just left me. Has no intention of letting me have his son or having his son get me pregnant so that I belong back to the clan that I was married into. So, you know what she did? Well, back then there were temple prostitutes, and these women would wear veils on their faces. I don't have a veil, but maybe they're like, oh. Yeah, they would cover their face so that you couldn't see anything but just from the eyes up. And they would service the men, basically. Well, Judah's going into town. Tamar has taken off her widow clothes and has put on her pretty fancy dress, maybe like her red dress, like old fancy Don't Let Us Down. She's got the fancy dress on. She's got the shiny stuff. She's got the veil on. Maybe she put on some perfume, but it says in the story that she goes to the gates of town, and she positions herself up on a rock. She's like, hey, big boy. Smiling. But he can't see that she's smiling because she got a veil on. But anyways, she's on this rock, and she's all positioned out there. And Judah comes along, and he sees her. Now, his wife's been dead for a while, and he's been mourning her. So maybe he just was lonely. Really, he must have been super lonely, because he goes to her, and he goes, hey, baby, I'd like to come in to you. I want to come visit you. Let's have sex. Well, Tamar goes, what will you give me? And he goes, what do you want? And she goes, I want. He goes, I'm going to give you a goat. I'll give you a kid. That's exactly what I'll do. I'm going to give you a baby goat. I'm going to give you a kid, and then you'll have meat and milk and all that good stuff, and that's a great payment for your services. Well, she goes, how do I know that you'll really come back? And he goes, because I promise you. What do you need as proof that I'm going to bring you a goat? Now, remember, he had a bunch of sheep he was taking to be sheared, so he didn't really have a goat with him. And she says, I tell you what, you give me your ring and give me that cord and give me your staff that you're holding right there, your sheep herding staff that you carry everywhere. I'll hold on to these things until you bring me the goat, and then I'll give them back to you. And he says, okay, that'll work. Works for me. So he goes in to see her. And according to the Bible story, Genesis 38, I'm not making this up, she gets pregnant immediately. He takes off and goes back. He shears his sheep. He does his thing. He goes away. And he tells his buddy, though, when he gets back, he said, look, I had sex with that girl at the temple gate. And I need you to go take this goat to her. Now, notice he didn't even go himself. No, he sent his friend. That's like sending your friend to break up with you. I don't know. But he sends his friend. And he tells his friend, said, go find her and give her this goat. And you get my ring and my cord and my staff. And you bring it back to me. So his buddy goes and he takes this baby goat and he goes to town and he looks around and he's like, hey, I don't see any temple prostitutes here. So he goes into the temple and he goes, hey guys, where's that prostitute that was out here earlier, yesterday morning? I need her because I've got a goat for her. And those guys go, no, not here, because we don't have any temple prostitutes. Oh. So he looks around the building, I guess around town he looks, and he goes, oh my word. And of course he's carrying this goat. He's got this little baby goat and he's carrying around looking for her, but she's nowhere to be found. So he goes back to Judah and he goes, oh, I got some bad news for you. I can't find her. She's gone. Gone. And they said they didn't even know her. Well, Judah goes, well, oh my gosh. You know what? Look, let's just forget about it. She's obviously taken off with my ring and my cord and my staff, and we'll just forget about it, because if anybody finds out, they're going to make fun of me. They're going to laugh at me. And Judah was like the big man on campus, He was like your star quarterback. He was wealthy. He was fourth in line. He had made his fortune. He had a successful life. And he didn't want anybody to know what he had done. And he was afraid that if he pursued this, everybody's going to find out. So he goes, let's just drop it. Well, he goes on about his business, and then one day, about 4 months later, it's obvious that Tamar is pregnant. Now, she went home and immediately put on all her widow's garb again. And, but she still had his ring and his cord and his staff. Maybe she had it hidden in a bedroom closet. I don't know. Anyways, so through the grapevine, how people love to gossip and talk, and bad news, spreads way faster than good news. So it comes back to Judah that, hey, Tamar's pregnant. And he goes, what? And they go, she's had sex. She's acted like a prostitute. Apparently she told somebody. Anyways, what's Judah say? He goes, well, bring her here and we'll burn her. Kill her. We're going to kill her. Because remember, women are just possessions. Women were not allowed to do anything. Women were just total possessions of the men. To be swapped, sold, borrowed, kept, whatever. It was totally at his discretion. And we know that Judah didn't have the greatest moral standards, because didn't he just throw his brother in a well and sell him to a caravan for 20 pieces of silver? I know I said gold before, but it wasn't. It was silver. Judah goes, burn her, bring her here, and we'll burn her at the stake. Well, so he sends his guys over there to get Tamar, and they go, I guess they went probably barreling into her daddy's house and grabbed her up, trying to grab her up and saying, come on, we heard you're pregnant. And Judah says, you're going to die. You're no good. And she goes, wait a minute. I can tell you who did this to me. And they're like, wait, what? I know who did this to me. Let me give you what he gave me. because he came and took me. He gave me his ring, his cord, and his staff. I want you to take these to Judah and tell him this is the man who did this to me. So, imagine Judah's surprise when these guys that work for him come back, probably like his foreman, his best friend, and they come back and they go, oh gosh, man, guess what, Judah? She said that these things belong to the man who did this to her. And they give him his very own ring, his own cords, and his own staff. Judah looks at those things and he goes, oh wow, boys, I am to blame. Bring Tamar here. So he tells them that Tamar is the one who acted out of honor, not him. He had done the dishonorable thing. First of all, he promised her the youngest son so that she would be safe and secure, because God only knows what kind of hell she went to with who got killed immediately. I mean, I don't know what kind of bad dude he was, but he must have been a seriously bad dude. And then Odin, of course, who just had sex with her multiple times, but had no intention of getting her pregnant, but enjoyed what he got. And God killed him. So Judah goes, I'm the one who's acted dishonorably because I promised her this, and I didn't do it. And out of her desperation to be safe and to be saved, she did this, and I am guilty. Now, according to the story in the Bible, Tamar then was married to Judah. It was taken in by Judah, became his wife, and even though he never saw her, he never went into her again. I don't think I would either if God had already slain all my kids. But she had twins. Twins! Not just one baby, but she had two babies. And the first baby, as was the tradition when the midwife sees the baby's hand come out, they tie a scarlet string around the wrist to indicate that this is the firstborn. Of course, they didn't have any ultrasound, so they didn't know that they were twins, but a lot of people had twins, apparently. So the baby stuck its hand out. They tied the twine on it, the scarlet ribbon or thread. Suddenly, little hand disappears. And a baby comes busting out. Well, the baby that come busting out didn't have no scarlet thread, but he was the firstborn. So they named him Perez, because that meant busting forth. The little midwife goes, I see what you did. You used your brother to poke a hole down there so you could come out first. Well, the next baby came out, and sure enough, he had that scarlet thread on his finger, around his arm. And they go, well, you got the scarlet, but you're not the firstborn. This one is, the one who busted his way out with you. Well, those two babies, that Perez then marries, and he has a child. And they have a child named Solomon, who marries Rahab, the prostitute in the wall of Jericho. Now, I'm going to tell you the glory of this story is that Tamar is the first woman who is listed in Matthew's beginning of Matthew, his genealogy of Jesus. Tamar is Jesus's great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmother. She is in the lineage of Jesus. God had a purpose for her. It looked like she was done in. It looked like she was doomed. And I'm sure that she felt very desperate. And you know what they say, desperate measures come out of desperate times. Necessity is the mother of invention. So she reinvented herself into a prostitute, and she got pregnant, and she saved her own life. And God used that. Because you know what? God loves messy people. He loves messy situations. He uses the messy. the dirtier, the more lost, liars, thieves, murderers. Look at Judah. Judah was a big old fat liar. He sold his brother. He lied about him being dead. And then he does this dishonorable thing. But God used him because he knew that that was going to be the lineage of Jesus. The Lion of Judah, Jesus Christ, comes from a messy background full of all kinds of people who were used by God to change the world and to change history. Maybe you're in a place today where you think, my life is such a mess, I just don't see any way out. Well, you know there's a song that says, there's an old song we used to hear in church. It said, God will make a way where there seems to be no way. He can do most anything. Yes, he can do anything. And he has a plan. He's knitted everything into your life that will exist throughout the fabric of humanity. And you are a part of it. If you're living and breathing today, you have a purpose. God uses messy people, imperfect people. Look at Moses. Look at Abraham. Look at Jacob. Look at Jesus, his friends. Right? God uses us in our mess. And he will deliver you from your mess and turn it around and make it for his glory and for your benefit. But that requires trust and that you know who Jesus is. Jesus said, I came to give you hope. I didn't come into the world to condemn the world. I came to give you hope. And isn't that what each and every one of us need, is hope? I found myself in places, in positions in life where I needed hope. When my life fragmented and fell apart, and I thought that God could certainly not use me because I went down rabbit holes in places where I didn't think I would ever be delivered from. But God always has made a way. And you know why? Because I am a child of God. I'm a child. I'm a believer. I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe in the power that raised him from the dead. I believe in forgiveness, mercy, and goodness. What seems like it's meant for your harm will certainly, can, and will be turned around and used for your benefit. Jesus talks about it over and over. Paul talks about it throughout the scriptures. It's talked about how God will make a way when there seems to be no way. He says in the Psalms, I have new streams in the desert. Don't you see I'm doing a new thing? Enlarge your tent so that I can come in. Let me change your life. That's the hope that's found in Jesus. It's not about how much work you do at church, although that's good. It's not about how good you can be, because you can't ever be good enough to deserve what Jesus did for you. He did it because you're his. And just like in John 1, in the beginning was the Word, Jesus. And through the Word, all things were made. And nothing was made except by the Word, Jesus. He came to give us hope. He came to give us peace, grace, mercy, and to make a way. That man had become so far away from God that God said, I'm going to send my son down and I'm going to split myself off. Now y'all can believe in science fiction and you can believe in these other things. Well, we know that our life is more than what we know, that our universe is more than what we know. We know that the colors, the things we hear, these are all totally within God's grasp to change, to move molecules. All of this is possible through the power of God, the creator of all things. So, if you're not sure that when you close your eyes and you leave this body, that your soul will be reconciled with God. Because in Isaiah, God tells us You were with me before you were in your mother's womb. You have known me, and I know you. Jesus says, you'll be known by your name. They will know you. People will know you. Yeah, what a great hope. But you only get that hope when you give your soul back to God. When you reconcile that you know you don't understand how it works. I don't. I can't tell you that I understand exactly how it all works because I don't. My mind is smart, but even my mind and the most brilliant minds in the world cannot comprehend the power and the glory of God. But Jesus says, to all who believe shall be saved. Believe that Jesus loved you enough that he would have come and died if it had only been you. He is here to reconcile your soul with the Father. And he loves messy people. You can't be too messed up for God to not use you and make a great testimony out of your life. If I had not messed up and experienced the things that I've experienced in this life, the things that I thought would destroy me and hurt me, that I would never be able to overcome, God has used every single one of those to help me minister to other women, to other children, to other youth, to people who have been hurt by this world. For all who call upon the name shall be saved. Jesus Christ is, was, and always will be the Messiah. He came for you. He came for me. And all he asks is that you dare to believe. I'll be back with more stories. But if you're not sure today, then you follow me and say, Lord, I believe. I don't know how it works, Jesus, but I believe that by your power, I and my soul, not this body, but my soul belongs to you. And I don't want to be left behind. In this world we live in, there's a lot of stuff going on. So Lord, save me. I submit myself to you. Save me, Jesus. Save me now. I believe that you are God come to earth. And I don't know how all that worked, but I know that you died and you were resurrected, and the Passover and the resurrection and Easter is coming because Jesus did not remain a baby in a manger. He was a man who gave his life for you and me. And he will make a way when there seems to be no way. And when you call upon him and you believe and you tell him, you know, I'm kind of a mess. And I know I'm a mess. But I need you. And I want to follow you. I want to change my life. Because the power that raised you from the dead can be given to me. I love you all. Privyat. Spasiba. I love you. Hello. Goodbye. No. Jesus loves you.